Okay, so today I'm going to be walking through my everyday makeup and giving my final thoughts and takeaways on the article written by Ethel Quayle and Laura Carioli about sexting in adolescence and how it's non-consensual, meaning usually there's lots of pressure given from one side or the other, and not to mention both parties are underage, so technically it is child pornography. However, when I was reading the article, I did tend to agree with a lot of the trends that were mentioned in it, such as females being reprimanded for embracing their sexuality by sending sexualized images, as well as the mention of the fact that most of the reason that females do so is because society has set a precedent that in order to show love and affection for a man or get affirmation, it's crucial that we show our bodies. However, in one of the studies that was conducted or referenced in the article, when a group of police officers were asked whether or not or how they would handle a certain situation where they would be placed in working with teenagers or younger children or young adults even who have sent images, they would be more likely to, in colloquial terms, slut shame the females or make them feel like it's their fault for being victimized, rather than teaching males about consent or how to, properly develop a respectful relationship with a young woman, which I can definitely attest to. As a female growing up and going through junior high and high school, we're often pressured to send, we call them nudes, or even, show the underwear that we have in locker rooms to girls, and we're judged by what we wear, etc. But when something happens to us, they tell us that we need to be like these pretty, proper, very sexualized objects at such a young age nowadays. However, when anything happens to us or we're mistreated or harassed, it's our fault for dressing the way that society has set us to present ourselves. So I definitely thought it was interesting seeing how police officers, members of authority of our society who are supposed to keep people in line and, just control order in our communities and keep it safe, are even likely to, push these precedents on young ladies, which is, it's really upsetting, but it's just been a trend through history. So I would say that the one thing that I really wish I could impress on future generations, or even children or young adults, people my age or a little bit younger, I just think it's really important to work on emotional relationships rather than physical ones, because with the internet nowadays, nothing is private. These intimate moments that we are supposed to share with the people that we're sending these images or messages to, the majority of the time they're definitely not private. They may promise to keep it to themselves, or they may only promise to show it to their best friend, but word travels incredibly fast. It can be sent by the push of a button, or even just by sitting behind somebody in a classroom. So I'd say I really want to enforce the idea of just be smart, be careful, and if you feel that the action that you are proceeding with is the right one in that time and place, could would that person you're sending it to like you just as much if you didn't, and show you the same respect as if you declined what they were saying? Or would they, you know, kind of call you a prude? I've heard that before. Or bring religion into it and how you're too, I know for me, I was in a very Catholic neighborhood growing up, so usually it would be like, oh, she's the weird Jesus girl, which is also something that I sort of really connected with in the article. I think with times changing so much now, even when there was the study where they went to a school in England, I believe, and they asked the school how they would handle like sexual images being brought up, or like how students could help sort of keep like lines in check and help decrease the amount of sexual exploitation by students rather than keeping images intimate. The idea of no snitches was brought up, which I think is just it's hard for adults or parents of people our age. I want to say probably about 35 and up, because they didn't grow up with technology at their fingertips, versus we are given, well, my generation and people younger than us, we are given iPhones or iPods or even just access to social media at so much younger of an age that we are so much more vulnerable, and we don't have the safety measures or awareness. As you can see, I've done my lipstick because I can't do that on camera. But just to wrap up my statement, I think that there's no complete way to fix this, because the generations before us, as I've stated before, they don't have the same experience that we would have with this situation and the great unknown of technology, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and finding loopholes and just so many difficulties and hardships that I can't express enough how important it is for not only boys to learn about being respectful and gentlemen and not even necessarily chivalrous, just understanding boundaries, as well as females. I just think it's really, once we find equality for both genders, for all genders, I think problems such as expressing sexuality at a young age, and developing relationships and growing into adulthood will become so much easier and less nuanced, and then you can truly enjoy the awkwardness of growing up rather than worrying about community seeing private moments and growing periods for you emotionally, and physically and romantically. I think that is when society will really be at its peak and really just healthy. And here is my final look.